Hi, this is Nica. I'm back to talk about some of the activities I do with my kids to help them learn with writing and reading, and as I mentioned in the podcast, how I keep my 18-month-old busy while we're doing e-schooling or homeschooling with my kindergartner. So I wanted to just start with something that I did with my son, probably when he was 2. You can get these are styrofoam, and what I do, and it's kind of fun when the kids are starting to learn and they want to use everything you use. I have this spray bottle of water, and I let him spray a window, and then he can put these letters on the window. And so it can get a little bit messy, but if you don't mind water, then it's really fun, and they learn their letters and they learn how to use a spray bottle. So it's really fun. So my 18-month-old loves to take these out and just play with them, and just learning letters and sounds, phonics, as we go. So that's one activity that I did, that I do with my kids. And then another thing, I love this. I have been using this so much with both my kids. It's 60 objects foam magnets, and it's all pictures of things, of animals and things. And we can learn so much with this, and I can show you some of the examples. So one thing is, when my son was not even 1, we would just look at these magnets, and I would, tell him the words elephant and seal, goat, and that's how he really learned words, is we would look at these. And then recently I got these, and I can put some links on our website, but these are really cool because they're also they're fabric that can be washed, and they have really good bright colors. And my son, at one point, he was putting everything in his mouth, and so this was perfect for him rather than these magnets. But right now he's a little older and he's not putting everything in his mouth. And what I do with these is I have him match. I'll say, "Oh, what's this? Pig." And I'll say, "Go look for the other pig." And he will find the other pig. So he'll find it, and matching, so grapes. And these just happen to have some that match, not all of them do, but you'll be surprised to see, they're really great with teaching language and words. And so I do that. I also, if you can get this anywhere, I got this with one of the puzzles, but it's a magnet, and I'll have my son fish for different things. I'll say, "Go find the elephant," and then he'll find it. Oh, this one doesn't work that well, but it kind of sticks to it, and so you can do this if you have a magnet, and that's really fun too. So while we're on this, when my son was learning to read, I also did an activity with him where I made I have a big whiteboard, and I would put the magnets on there, and then I made flashcards of all the names of each of these magnets. So what I would have him do is we would do a game. We always do races, as I mentioned before in my math activities. So I would say, okay, it would be like a race between me and him, or I would do a timer, and I would say, let's see how many you can do in 1 minute. So he would get a pile, and I made a pile of them using different colors. You don't really have to, but I would say, okay, what's the first one? Pig. So he would run, and he would find the pig, and he would put that on there like that. So like I mentioned, I have a really big whiteboard, and I could put a lot on there. And then he would go to the next one, rainbow. He would run, find the rainbow, and stick it on there. And so this has really helped him with reading. Some of the words are harder, owl, and he would do that. Oops. Like that. And let's see. So we would just go on and on with And so this is how one way we had fun learning how to read. And he was really proud of himself that he was able to identify the correct magnets for the word. So that's something that you can do. Another game that I would do with my son, like a racing game, is I really love these puzzles, these Melissa and Doug puzzles. When my son was really young, my first son, I think he, not even one, I bought these, like maybe 10 puzzles from someone back then on Craigslist or Facebook or wherever, and just for like maybe, I don't know, $20 for all the puzzles, and I've been using them with both kids. But right here they have different animals or different things, very easy words. And what we would do is my son and I would have a race. Like I would get one and he would get one, and they come with these letters. And so I would say, okay, we would see who could fill it in the fastest. Okay, and so we would just have a race, and we would do it together like that, and we would do all of them, and they come on the back side as well. So that was fun for him when he was first learning letters and also sounds, phonics. That was a way of learning without really teaching him, like sitting down and say, oh, bird starts with B, so this is how we would do it. We would make a game out of it, and that was great. I'm sure they still sell these, but they have really great pictures, and they're very durable too. Speaking of puzzles, these are great puzzles. I got some of my 18-month-old's favorite puzzles. When we're doing work with my kindergartner, these are the kind of things that keep him busy. He likes to play with these, and he's learning letters right now. And this, it says for ages 2+, but kids, it really depends. If they have an interest, they can do it earlier. But he likes this one as well, and they have sound too. They'll tell you. And I think his favorite one would be this one, which is cars, and right now because he's really into vehicles and cars. So these are the kind of things that keep him busy. Let's see. I bought a lot of these. Everything that I buy are inexpensive, but you can find these at Target, in their dollar section. But these are puzzles, and these are really great. Sometimes I would say when your kids says ages 4+, but I would do these with my son when he was 3. And this really helped with also phonics as well. And I would just have him, because he was really into puzzles, he would just do this sometimes in the morning when I'm making breakfast. He would, I would, set them on a table and put all the different pieces apart, and he'd have to find the pair, like D for duck, Q for quail. So these are great things that you can keep your kids busy with when you're doing something that are educational and fun. I have these, and like I said, I got these at Target in the dollar section. Another thing that my son really loved, when he turned 2, he was really into puzzle. This was his first puzzle. I really like these puzzles because on the back, it also has the numbers, so you know how to. And so he was also learning at the time how to count up and reading numbers, and so this really helped. So this was one of the first puzzles he got at about 2 years old. We have 3 different puzzles: a fire engine, truck, and bus, and things like that. So I really like this. Another thing that I did with my son when he was about 3 is I started to teach him sight words. And at the time, I didn't even have any flashcards or those index cards that I used. boxes, and I just cut them up, and I would put sight words on, and I would start teaching him while we're eating breakfast. I would say, look at this word, it says see. And so during breakfast, I would quiz him. And they're easy words, but he would learn to read the sight words, and we would go over the sounds. Can, can. We'd go over just during breakfast while he was eating. He really liked at that time Paw Patrol, so we'd try to make sentences using the sight words, but I would put all the names of all the characters of the Paw Patrol. So that was fun for him. As he got older, I started to do things where he had learned all his sight words, but I wanted him to learn to read using 3-letter words with the vowels in the middle. So that would help him pronounce and also be able to spell 3-letter words. So we started with like the vowel E, and we would go over all the words that have the E in the middle of a 3-letter word. So bed, jet, leg, men. And we did all these different flashcards, hen. And at the time he was going to a Montessori school, they were doing this kind of thing as well. Like they were using manipulations with like, I don't know how they exactly do it, but they had something where he was practicing it. And so these are the kind of things we would do at home to help with his learning at school. So he did. With A, we made all the flashcards as well, and I, and O as well. So these are the kind of things we would do and go over, and I always did this during breakfast time because I felt like that's when I had his attention. He was eating, that his brain was ready and alert, and he seemed to not feel like it was like he was being, sitting down having to learn something. It was just kind of fun and informal while we ate breakfast. So those are some flashcards that I did with him. I also, I'm showing some of the things that I did with my children. It wasn't always like a big hit. Some things like this might work really well with girls. You can make necklaces using letters. This is coming handy now with my son being in kindergarten. Some of the e-learning activities will be create words with letters. So he's had to do this with his schoolwork. And so this is really great. I think I got a lot of these things at the, what is that store called? The Learning Lakeshore? Yeah, so this was at Lakeshore. And so when he was like three, he was into making necklaces of people's names and giving them as gifts to people. So now I think it's coming in handy. And my son, my 1-year-old, he's not putting things in his mouth. So with supervision, I will pull them out for him, and he will just play with them. And we can also go over letters and sounds as well. So this is nice to have. Let's see. Another thing at Lakeshore that I got, sort of an investment. I know Lakeshore things can be a little pricey, but my first son really loved keys. And a lot of your kids may like keys too, and they try to grab your keys. But this one, it has a letter, and then it has a picture to match the letter with the sound, and it has these keys. So this is the capital letter. This is how I'll practice capital, and so it has the keys, and you find the matching, like this is the capital letter, the lowercase letter. And so you try to find that, match it, and then once you find it, you can open the lock. And this is just something my son loved to do. Okay, they have really great pictures. A lot of these pictures match these magnets. A lot of them are similar, so you can help. You can do another game with that. Find the match, if there is one. But a lot of them are similar. The car. things like that. Heart. So this is really a good thing to keep them busy. I also have these things. I got, again, at Lakeshore. I really like all their products, but if your kids love Play-Doh, this is a good way to practice numbers or anything. It has great pictures, and they will make things out of Play-Doh and put things in here and learn to count. So these are fun things to do. They have numbers all the way to 20, and they have different activities you can do with your kids, games using it. So that was something I got again at Lakeshore. It's called Learn to Count Dough Mats. And now I'd like to kind of go over some of the books that my kids use, especially my 18-year-old. He's really into books right now. And these are some of his favorite books I wanted to show, because I know some parents are looking for things to do with their toddler, but these books I think are really good, and they're the ones that can move and you find pictures. And I also wrote the capital letters because there was the lowercase, but my son loves to just pick up these books and look at them. This is probably his favorite. And all of these books I got at the library. A lot of our local libraries have books for sale that are donated for very, very affordable prices, sometimes 25 cents, $1. So I get a lot of my books from there. I've just kept them. But the reason why my son loves these is he loves to open them and find. And, because this was a used book, not all the parts were included, so I kind of stuck some stickers on here and things that he could find. But these are definitely things that he loves to look out for. He can keep him busy. So, and this one too, learning words. This you can find anywhere, but my son loves it. He'll look at all these pictures. They have in Spanish as well and English, but it's his favorite. Well, he looks at it probably every day. So that's something. I wanted to show you some books that I use with my older son. I do use workbooks. I would give him work to do before he started school. So these are things that we would do. I find pretty much anywhere, just worksheets. I think that they're really good and helpful. This is one he was working on sight words. It's pretty good. They practice, they're able to write, they use it in a sentence. So all the sight words, 100 sight words. I would say these are my favorite. The Quest, you can get them in a lot of places, Costco, but I finished this with my son before kindergarten and before he went to school, and I think it really helps with phonics and reading and math skills, sorting, sequencing, all those things. A lot of the things that in my math video, I talk about different activities we do. This kind of reinforces a lot of those things. So I like this, and we're doing this one right now, the second grade. And another one, this is okay. I try to find some worksheets that my son can do to keep him busy so that he's not always on the screen. But this is also good too. A lot of repetition, but it's been pretty helpful. So I give them these type of work when I'm busy and I need to keep them busy. And one last thing is I Sach talked about some of the devotionals that she uses in her homeschool study. These are some of my favorites. So we start with a devotion every day before we start school, and these are really great. I love them, the VeggieTales. This one's specifically for boys, but girls can read them too. They have topics, they have a scripture that goes with it, a short story, and they're really easy to follow and understand, a thought of the day and a prayer. And my son, he can read them himself, and we can talk about it. And this has been a great one. He also liked this one, Our Daily Bread for Preschoolers. This one also is short, sweet, has kind of like a topic and question and a prayer. So this is a really good one too. I really like the Paul Vischer, the creator of VeggieTales. He recently created a Bible for kids, Laugh and Learn Bible for Kids, and it's really good. Great pictures. Most of this, they're all the stories in the Bible. It says 52, the Gospel in 52-minute Bible stories, and we go through this in the morning. We have several different books to choose from. This is one that we read from, and I highly recommend it. My other 18-month-old goes through his own books. This is my first Bible stories. He has several of them, but this is his favorite because the pictures are so vivid and he can identify things like rainbow and bird. So he really likes this one. Well, I think that's it. I will post some links to some of the things that I mentioned, but these are just some activities that I do with my children to help them learn words and just make learning fun. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.